It was a Friday afternoon, I think it was about 4:30. The day had finished. The boss said that the truck that I usually use had broken down again. A couple of days earlier that the alternator bracket had broken and we got it welded fixed. We both walked over and I sort of put my head underneath the hood of the truck and stuff like that, and as I grabbed the belt to see if the bracket was still attached, he didn't realise that I was there and turned the key over and caught my finger between the pulley and the belt. We didn't realise straight away that anything happened. I sort of pulled my hand back and said, "You squashed my finger." And then, then I looked down and realised that sort of half of it was gone. Within a split second, so many times that we've lifted the hood up and checked it, and it seemed to be just one of those things, Friday afternoon. But when it first happened, I lost to that part there. The bone and all that was still there, but all the skin and tissue and that was gone. It had all been ripped off. I was taken to hospital and had surgery that night where they removed the end of your finger, the first knuckle. And I think I was in a cast for 9 weeks. Which then once we took that off, we found that there was another problem with the part of the bone that was still in there was broken and sharp. So they had to go in and operate again and take that part out. And then over the rest of the 9-year period, I had 4 operations on my hand to cut the hand open to see what they could do. They split the actual finger open 3 times all the way down and peeled it back to see if there was any tendon damage and stuff like that, which they couldn't find. And then after I think 4 cortisone injections and the 6 operations, or the final operation, they took the finger off right down at the base, and that's what's left with now.
It was 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and we had 1 lift to go before we were finished for the day. I couldn't quite reach the shackle I had to undo to finish the day off, and we were worried about the traffic, getting out of Sydney at the end of the day. So I thought I'd just climb up the foot and grab it. There was a bit of water up there. I slipped, fell off, only fell a foot and a half, but I hit my hand on a bit of timber before I hit the ground. The ramifications of that were I dislocated every single bone in my hand, I shattered my thumb, I destroyed my wrist, and I snapped every single tendon from my wrist to my elbow. I've lost count of how many operations I had. It was a matter of, for 6 years, every time I was strong enough, back in, more surgery, get strong enough, back in, more surgery. I was very lucky I had the best hand surgeon in the country, but still it took 6 years of operations before I was able to start strengthening my hand again. So I've now got 2 steel pins that go through my wrist that way, and a big steel plate that goes down my thumb and then wraps around my wrist with 6 screws in it. This bone here is made out of my hip. I had to go in through my leg and take bone out of my hip to rebuild that bone. And then my thumb actually just hangs off the end on the skin. It doesn't actually do anything. I think we're looking at, it's now about 10, 14 years since I finished the operations, and I'm still trying to get it up to strength. That 1 split second, we were worried about the time and about getting away and beating the traffic. I didn't want to go and get a ladder or something because it was going to burn us a couple of more minutes. I thought I'll just go up and I'll jump up and I'll undo that and we'll be gone. It was just, for 2 minutes, it cost me 6 years, at least 6 years. For 2 minutes time. All I had to do was just get a step or get a ladder, and yeah, every time you watch your mates run out and play football, or you went and saw your mates play in a band, it came back to you every time.
I was just trimming up some timber on a table saw. Come down to the last little piece and fed that into the table saw with a push stick. Just started feeding it through like I normally do, and my grip must have loosened up just slightly, and caught a couple of fingers, dragged them through and spat it out, and 2 fingers gone. Yeah, just the main 2. Yeah, just on right on the knuckle there. It was just one of those things, yeah, sort of, you know, not concentrating in the morning and bang, and off they come, yeah. It's just affected me, just the day-to-day things, like doing buttons up. Wide grip tools, definitely I struggle with them with that hand, so maybe I might have to adjust with the other hand, which sometimes isn't as strong, you know, or I'll have to use two hands instead of just using that right hand, which was the dominant hand before. So I've had to adjust, and now my left is definitely compensated for my right, so I use my left a lot more. It's definitely changed things, yeah, for sure. Just makes me more of aware that what could happen if you just stop thinking for you know, a split second. So I sort of just only have to think about that situation, and it sort of resets me back into sort of you know, safety mode.
I'm a pipe fitter, so when I'm doing in the cut the pipe, where the blade is going along and to get the swap in the building up. So I should stop the machine and clean up the swap. But I just same time in the blade is working on and take a swap off. But the swap is take my gloves and my finger to the bone in the hit by stopper. I can remember really to less than a second to hit the stopper. I should turn the machine off and clean the swap off. The stopper hit is on my bone here, and it's all squashed the bone, or squash in the break the bone and squash the finger. There's a hit just here in the center. So this bone inside here is broken, and the finger was squashed. I couldn't get pain because I was shocked. There was a ruby jaw, so I went to the Dobie Hospital. Dobie Hospital is not enough to the operation and all that. They organized with St. Vincent Hospital in Toowoomba, so straight through to operation in the same day in the afternoon. Still pain inside, and 3 rings in holding on to the broken bones. It's not gonna straight anymore. Just ignore the rules. I did it. Shouldn't take any shortcut to the proper way to do.
A work colleague hit my finger with a hammer, a 4-pound hammer. Flat out, yes, didn't hold back. Wasn't actually his fault, it was no positive communication, I'd imagine. The nanosecond after it happened, I didn't feel any pain. I remember that. I remember immediately pulling my hand back and stepping back 2 paces, and it didn't register, the pain didn't register. And I knew that there was something wrong, and I had my gloves on, and when I pulled the glove off, then the blood started to come out, and then I think that's when the pain kicked in.
What should you have done differently, or what should both of you have done differently?
Probably spoken about the job in length before we actually started it. Although it seemed like a very straightforward thing that I'd done a lot of in my construction career. It seemed like a very simple thing to do. I think you need to it's positive communication with your work colleague, and you've got to get to know them.
It's just that one split second where you change something and you could have thought, well, maybe if we did it a different way, or sometimes you think to yourself, oh, well, I've hurt myself, I'll be right in a week or 2 weeks or whatever. But like I said, mine took 9 years. I had 6 operations, and that was just on a finger.
I was playing in bands at the time. I was playing first grade football. I used to play indoor cricket. All these things disappeared overnight. I couldn't play them again.
We put a halt on a fair bit. I used to go to the gym a bit, and motorbike riding and stuff like that, which sort of come to a halt completely.
In an instant. So you can't imagine how your life changes in an instant, and that's just the way it happens.
When I'm thinking like a bad dream, yeah, but how can it happen? I keep thinking, but I can't remember how it happened.
With my job, we were doing probably 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. So the impact on the money side of it was pretty big.
I believe my son was about 4-year-old at the time. Couldn't pick him up. Couldn't rough around, mess around with him. I had to be careful all the time. It really stopped me from doing a lot of things that I used to do.
Think of the impact later on, down the track. You know, I lost my left ring finger. I can't wear a wedding ring.
Just keep keep your mind on the job and just sort of keep focused on even just the smallest tasks, because they can have sort of serious consequences, you know.
Just message is just follow the rules, don't take a shortcut.
The big thing is communication. You've got to be able to talk to each other, and make sure that he knows what you're doing and you know what they're doing, and actually plan what you're doing.
If it takes 5 minutes to do it safe, 5 minutes is nothing. 5 minutes is nothing. Nothing.